Welcome back to ONNpoint. I'm Tim Murphy, and joining me in the studio I have Ashley. Hello, Ashley, and Jennifer. Hello, Jennifer. These ladies are from Women in Crisis, and Ashley, you are a crisis counselor.
Yes, I am.
And Jennifer, a sexual assault abuse counselor.
I am.
All right, pretty heavy work you ladies do. Fulfilling, though?
Very much.
Yes. What is your background? What is your training? Education sort of thing?
So I have my degree in psychology, and then
Okay.
I took a college program after in case management.
Oh.
Yeah, and then I got hired at the shelter, and then I went to teachers college, but that doesn't really apply to my work now so much, but still.
Are you from the Sioux originally?
I'm from the Sioux, yeah.
Okay. And Jennifer, what's your story?
I originally did a diploma in correctional worker. And
all right.
Yes, I worked with young offenders in counseling aspect there for a long time, and then I went back and did my psychology degree and started working with mental health, and now I'm at Women in Crisis.
Wow. How long have you been with Women in Crisis now, Jennifer?
I've been there for 5 years.
Okay, what about you, Ashley?
8.5.
Wow.
It's crazy,
Does
yeah.
it seem like it? Probably
No,
not.
not at all.
No. Because, well, I mean, the job probably never changes, right? I mean, as far as you're always dealing with a different scenario,
Yes.
different personalities, different crises, right?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, the crises never end.
Right.
Ay, ay, ay. So, can you talk to me about some of the counseling services that you provide at Women in Crisis?
Yeah. So I'm part of a team that is part of the Sexual Assault Abuse Crisis Outreach Program.
Okay.
So we work with women who aren't actually in the shelter, but out in the community.
Oh,
Yes.
So it's an outreach program.
Yes. Yeah.
I didn't even know
Yeah.
that. I didn't know that you
Yeah.
ran that.
Yes.
Okay.
A lot of people aren't familiar with a lot of the services that Women in Crisis does, so this is a great opportunity to get that out there. So there's a team of us, and we do crisis counseling in an outreach service. So we do individual sessions, and we also do group sessions.
Where if you don't do these with residents, where are you going to have the counseling sessions?
They will come into the shelter.
Oh, I
we work
see.
out of the shelter, but it's with women in the community that come in.
And how do these women find you?
Through referrals. They may have been past residents of the shelter. We get referrals through different agencies in the community. Lawyers will call. They'll give our information to women, and they'll call themselves as well. A lot of self-referral.
Self-referral. Doctors, referrals from doctors or any medical
There
health?
has been, yeah.
Yeah. Mental health workers?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And then agencies, would you deal with like Algoma Family Services and Algoma Public Health and those sorts of agencies as well doing referrals?
Yep.
And so the counseling that you provide to people who aren't in the residence, and you say some of them may have been residents before, so this is ongoing work that you're doing with these people for it's a healing process?
Yes.
And the groups, that must be intense.
The groups are wonderful,
Are
actually.
they?
Yes. The groups are wonderful to facilitate in the sense that you get a group of women together and they finally get to share their stories with other women, and it's much more validating than just having a counselor validate them. To be in a group
Shared
with
experience,
yeah.
lived experience,
Yeah.
been there, done that, or oh my
Yeah.
gosh, that happened to me
Yes.
too, or I can't believe that this happened to somebody else.
Yeah.
That's, I think, a great value of therapy and counseling with so many situations, with addictions. You get into a room with people and you think you're the only person who's had this problem, or you think you're to blame for something. You think that it's my fault, or I'm a bad person, or I deserve this, and then you get into a room with other people and start realizing, wait a second, my story is the same as their story, and if it happened to you, and you hear it from them, and you think, well, that doesn't make you a bad person.
Yes.
Why do I think it made me a bad person,
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
That shared experience, and then talking about it, just getting it out there so that you can deal with it. We did the blanket exercise when we had other guests from Women in Crisis on here, and it's very much about that. It's about removing those layers that have kept you oppressed and kept you silenced or kept you terrified or frightened or immobilized, and then suddenly through the counseling and getting it out, the trauma doesn't go away, but you learn to live with it and you learn to rise above it, and it becomes a part of the recovery from that becomes part of who you are.
It's a journey. Absolutely, it's a journey.
And strengthening, right? I think we have to go to a break right now. We do. 60. Now, you were a little nervous about coming on here. Do you see how fast? That was about 5 minutes we just did. Boom, like that.
Job, Jen.
Jennifer, you were terrific. Yes, but I want to hear more from you. And we'll actually talk a little bit too in the next segment. So stay with us. We're with Ashley and Jennifer talking about women in crisis and the counseling services they provide. We're on point. I'm Tim Murphy, and we'll see you in 60 seconds. We're back on point. I'm Tim Murphy, and in the studio we have Jennifer and Ashley from Women in Crisis. I was asking the difference between a crisis counselor and a sexual assault abuse counselor. Now, I thought the difference was going to be just about the type of crisis, but that's not true at all.
No.
So you explain to me now.
So my role as a crisis counselor, we kind of take the women at their first contact with the shelter. So through our crisis line over the phone, or women who present at the door as a walk-in. So we meet them first before they would ever meet with Jen. And we also work with and manage the residents who live in the shelter.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then so somebody might, after spending some time with you as a counselor and getting some counseling, decide that they want to go into longer, how would you phrase it?
Long-term counseling.
Long-term counseling, and that's where Jennifer comes in.
So
Yes.
when our crisis counseling service is available 24/7. So that's the other thing where Jennifer and the other staff, they just work Monday to Friday, 9 to 5 kind of thing. So we're available 24/7. And women can come more than once. They can come every Wednesday if they want. And the difference is that they would probably get a different staff that they would meet with every week because we work on rotation,
Of course,
right?
because if you're going to be there 24/7, that means
Yes,
that
we
someone
work
is
shift
actually working shift work.
We
and
all work shift work.
So,
Yes.
do you have do you have a family or?
I have a family, but
No,
no
no.
children.
No, I know, but
No, that's,
are you? Because that's got to be tricky.
Yeah. I love it. We have
do?
the best schedule. Oh, I love it. Yeah.
So what's
There's a lot
the
of
typical what's the schedule like? How does it break down?
So for the full-time staff, we work 2 day shifts, 2 evenings, 1 night shift, and then we're off for 4.
Oh.
So I love it.
And
Yeah.
what kind of accommodations do you have? do you
Like
get-
at home or at
No,
the
I know,
shelter?
at the shelter. I don't want to know where you live. It's like, well, it's a 2-bedroom semi, and it's got a bath and a half. And a finished basement. No, the shelter's amazing.
shelter
I
is
got to walk
amazing.
through.
Yes.
I was
It's
kind of
beautiful.
nervous. I got to tell you, I was kind of nervous walking in because I thought, I'm a guy. I don't know how many men go through the shelter. Is that like, because
The only men
it's
that
got to
really
be
come in-
you don't want to have
Yeah.
invade their privacy.
We have to have
I didn't see anybody
servicemen
while I was there,
sometimes.
just so everybody knows. I mean, I walked to the meeting room, but I did see all those rooms with the car seats and then carriages and playpens and toys and living room set, like couches
Very
and sitting rooms. It is. It
Yeah.
looks.
It's beautiful and comfortable and clean, and it's cozy.
So you stay there some nights.
Yeah. On our
And-
night shifts, we stay there. Yeah.
People can just show up
Anytime.
any time
Yeah.
of night or day when they are in
Yeah.
crisis.
They call or come in anytime.
And how, when you were doing the counseling, you were the sexual assault and abuse counseling. You said sometimes you're being introduced to women who are in their 50s, who are just finally dealing with trauma.
Yes.
So it made you're counseling on not stuff that has just necessarily happened very recently. This could be something that's triggered from the past, some sort of a flashback, a realization, or just something that they have kept inside for all of that time.
Yeah.
The damage that does. Okay?
Because every woman is ready to deal with their story or their trauma or their crisis at a different point, right?
Yes.
And triggers can happen and flashbacks can happen, and they can remember things that possibly they didn't. Our memory is amazing, and our brains are amazing in terms of what they protect us from.
Yes.
I see women of all ages. And some of the history of their abuse and trauma can carry back to as far as they can remember, from childhood, age
You
4,
were
all the
talking
way
at
through.
age 4.
Yeah.
So now, can you talk to me about can you talk me through someone presents themselves at Women in Crisis or calls Women in Crisis. Can you walk me through what the process would be to have them actually come in and be safe?
Yeah, so it's always their choice. It's always offered to the women when they come in. Some of them are just coming to talk and get information and kind of start the process. Some aren't ready to leave. Some just need to come and talk and vent and get it off their chest. Some women come and say, I need to stay. I
This is
can't
an
go home.
this is an
Yeah, I need
emergency.
to. I can't go home. So we just take it from there. We have an intake procedure, and we get them set up in a room, and we have some toiletries that we can give them, and towels and pajamas, and change of clothes if they need to, and we kind of go from there. And whatever their goals are, whatever their needs are, they kind of lead us, and we just support them in whatever it is that they need. Some women need a little bit more convincing that maybe they might want to come for residency. We give information. We don't really necessarily give advice. We give information, and we let the women know it's always their choice. We are here no matter what, whenever they're ready to make that decision to leave. So they always know that. And if they leave, they know they can come back in a half an hour if they need to. They can come back the next day if they need to. Some women will plan with us when a safe time is to leave.
Yes,
so we do
that's
safety
an
planning,
exit
an
strategy.
exit strategy. Yeah.
Oh, I knew that word.
Yeah.
That's, wow.
And we'll make sure it's done in a safe way.
Okay.
Yeah, as safe as possible.
As safe as
right?
possible,
Yeah,
because we've talked about this in a previous interview, that it can be life and death.
for sure.
An exit strategy can mean you're
Yeah.
escaping. You need to do everything very carefully,
Yep.
very planned out, because without that,
Yeah.
you're in jeopardy.
Yeah.
You mentioned providing clothing and toiletries for people who are coming in a crisis or an emergency. That's terrific.
Yeah.
You have a donation box outside your location.
We do, yeah. The community is incredible.
Are they?
Oh my gosh, yeah.
That's good to know.
Yeah.
And this is located, tell me again where the center is.
23 Oakland Avenue,
So this is right by the train
right
tracks.
by the train tracks.
Yeah,
Bottom
yeah.
of Pim Hill, turn right.
Exactly. And so if anybody has donations, they can come by and put donations in the drop
Yeah.
in the clothing drop box. What about
Yeah.
things like toiletries? I mean, my partner spends a lot of time living in hotels because he works in film.
We take those too.
So like shampoo bottles,
Yes.
conditioners, little toothpaste, all that kind of
Yeah.
stuff. That you'd
Oh
appreciate
yeah,
that
it
kind
goes
of
a long
stuff.
way. Yeah.
So all we have to do is like ding dong and
Sure.
put it at the door,
Yeah.
kind of thing. Yeah. Okay, great. To make the women feel comfortable and at
Yes.
home. Yes.
We also, any kind of household items as well, because when the women do leave women in crisis, or even some of my clients, we will help them kind of set up, because a lot of women are leaving with nothing, right? They just
Oh, they
want,
just have
it's
to
just
get
their
out.
safety, right? So we will help them try as best we can to set them up. So we do take household donations as well.
We've talked also the importance of counseling and helping manage through a crisis. When people are in crisis, when there is trauma involved, I've talked about with addiction, similar situation, to try to pick up a phone book, to try to go through all the agencies, I mean, to try to find the help that you need can be such a daunting task. And if you've got children and you've got and you're in an abusive relationship, and it's so hard to function. Just functioning is enough. Never mind trying to find the resources to get out. So you will help them through this process and connect the dots.
Yeah, a big part of our job is the referral and advocacy to different agencies that the women need. So we have all of those resources at hand, and they can just come to us with their needs, and we kind of help set them up with the different agencies.
In our programs as well, we have the ability to do a lot of advocacy. We'll do accompaniment with women to do various appointments in the community.
Oh,
Yeah.
you'll actually accompany them to lawyers or to...
Yes,
Yes.
That's another huge piece that we do provide for women, is we have that family court support program. And we will accompany them to court, we'll accompany them to lawyers,
Wow.
assist them with documentation, things like that.
Oh, that is terrific. Okay, so we're going to come back because there are other programs we're going to talk about, and I believe we're going to bring Julie. Julie Strachan is going to join us on camera and talk a little bit about some of the other programs that you have at Women in Crisis. So stay right with us. On Point with Tim Murphy. We'll be back in 60 short seconds. With the Choices program, and which I didn't even know existed for 10 years. But it's fantastic. Your way in through the school boards was originally for the health and physical education classes, which would fit well into their sexual health curriculum and all that stuff, right? The Catholic board now has changed, so their gym, they don't necessarily have every grade 9 taking a health and physical education class. So now you're going through the religious studies.
Yes.
Now, you said you're boys and girls in religious studies, you get both male and female in the class, but with the public board, you're getting individual because they don't have mixed gym classes.
Yes.
Tell me about the responses. You were saying the difference between just working with boys or working with girls and boys or just working with girls. Your colleagues asked you
class-
about your preference, and you
Yes.
said it really is not a matter of preference, it's a matter of dynamics. And how do they work for you?
Absolutely.
I find them to be really good in every way that we get the opportunity to get the message out is beneficial. They're a little more honest when girls are with girls, boys are boys, and then the mixed class, they're a little more, they could be a little more shy when it comes to this stuff, right? But we're still able to just take the program and run with it because it's really directed by the students. We have what we're going to go in and say, but it's a lot of questions on our part to them so that we know where the program needs to go for them to really benefit and learn from what we're going to say.
Because you want to understand what their knowledge is already. You want to know what they know going into it, what their beliefs are. Because it's not always about knowing; it's about believing, right? 3 days. You do 3 days in the
Yeah,
classroom.
so it's a 3-day presentation. We go in on our own for the first 2 days, and then the third day we have one of the high school liaison officers will accompany us in the class, and they
Aren't those guys great?
They are great.
Like,
yeah, we love working with them.
That has changed so much. I remember when I'm 55 years old, so back in my day, the police officers came in and it was Elmo the safety elephant, and you talked about crossing the road. You didn't talk about sexual assault. These officers are so great in the schools with the youth. I've worked with them on countless events and occasions, and I've always been impressed with their knowledge of how to deal with teenagers that are going. I mean, imagine going through all the. You remember being a teen. It wasn't that long ago for you guys, being teenagers and how difficult that is. But then when you're dealing with all of this stuff that's going on, so the police come in, and what's that like?
It's great. They talk to the kids about what happens when they have to become involved in.
Oh, when the police are
yeah,
called
when the
into a
relationship.
situation.
Absolutely, yeah. So then they talk to the kids about what they could be charged with, what they could be sentenced with, what they do with the victims after, like how they help the victims. We play a couple of clips that are really difficult to hear. We have actual voicemail messages that have been left on victims' answer machines. We have
Oh
a
my
fight
gosh.
that was recorded. So it's really raw, it's really real, it's a little bit vulgar, but it's real, and we want the kids to know, like, it's serious, and this is how bad it can get if, the warning signs are ignored too long. So,
The 3 days are all very powerful.
yeah.
And I think a big part of it, the police officers as well as Ashley and I are very honest with these teenagers. Like, we can't sugarcoat any of this, and they need to understand what it sounds like and what it looks like and what those actions are and those words are and those put downs. And we want them to get it as raw as they can get it from us so that we could be there to support them. And we do have students come to us afterwards to talk or that have experienced things already or have things going on at home, and they come and they take that opportunity to talk to us, which is so beneficial.
Well, that's exactly the point why the mother, Donna, did you say her name was? Why Donna instituted this program, because if her daughter had had an intervention, like Choices, things might have been different. And that's exactly what...
And we have had kids come to the shelter, or students come to the shelter and say, I had Ashley or Julie in my class and I need to talk to, they said I could call, or they said I could, or like a couple years later, they still remember us, so they'll call the shelter. Some of the school counselors have brought students down to talk to us if they feel they need to. And so we want them to know that we're there to help.
And I think it's important also for any youth that are watching to know, or even parents to know that in the schools, there are support workers from Algoma Family Services, Algoma Public Health. Their public health nurses are there at least once a week. Algoma Family Services is very involved in the schools. They have their counselors, also in-school counselors are available. And that these are the people that are trusted, that you can go to and you can report to, and this is confidential stuff too. 100% confidentiality. So
Unless there's child abuse.
oh, absolutely.
So,
if there's
yeah.
if they're threatening
we
harm
do
to
have-
themselves or others,
Yes,
you have
we
to
have to.
report. Or if there's an
There's harm to
unsafe
them.
home environment, yes, I know you realize that you have to report. Ladies, that is our time. And after hearing and I can see in your eyes, you get teared up talking about some of this stuff.
I'm very passionate about it.
I can tell, and I can also understand why you've been in this career for as long as you have and why you still are passionate about the work. And I said that it never changes, and it would be nice if it did. It would be nice if we didn't see this happening anymore, but because of the work that you're doing, the numbers are going down, and women are less at risk, girls and men too. So
so.
keep it up, guys.
Thank you.
No, thank you. And if you want more information for Women in Crisis. You can find them at www.womenincrisis.ca. They are at 23 Oakland Avenue here in Sault Ste. Marie, and the phone number is 705-759-1230.
Yep.
And they are
Always
there
there.
24/7. Well, I'm going to wrap up after I come back, but right now it's time to say goodbye to our guests. So thank you, Julie and Ashley, and to Jennifer, who was here with us earlier. Stay tuned. I'll be right back to wrap things up on Point. That does it for me. This has been On Point with Tim Murphy. Join me again Tuesday through Friday here on TV at 8 o'clock. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you again next time. Bye for now.